I'm back with some good old Reborn, right? I'm finally back, and mind you, we are only 2 weeks away before the 20th anniversary. Now, I'm not saying for you guys to hope for anything in regards of an anime or anything of that sort. Just last week, we had it where, what do you call it? Which magazine was it again? I think it was Pash magazine, if I am correct, if my memory serves me correctly, or Animage magazine, where Akira Mano had an interview, and it was translated, but it was nothing in regards to any anime or anything of that sort. It was more like what inspired her to be a manga creator and so on and so forth. But still, it was really nice because right around the corner on the 18th, and it's only going to be in Japan, Katekyo Hitman REBORN, as well as her other of Akira Mano, her other works, Eld Alive, and her recent work, Ron Kaminohashi, the Range Detective Ron Kaminohashi. She is going to have an art exhibition that is going to start either the 17th or the 18th of this month, so starting around next week. If you are lucky to be in Japan, first and foremost, why you didn't invite me? Two, I'm going to get into the review of the chapter, but I just have to talk this out because this is the month of Katekyo. One of the biggest things, and just about a day or two ago, it was trending on Twitter/X for new merchandise and also that quiz that they were having. So it was trending on Twitter like 2 days ago. If you guys saw me, if you guys follow me on my Twitter/X, you saw that I did post something about it as well. But yes, this month is very particularly a special month for a lot of us Reborn fans because the 20th anniversary of the manga was published in Weekly Shonen Jump on May 24th, 2004, and we are going to celebrate the 20th anniversary in 2 weeks' time on May 24th. And the art exhibition is going to still go on until like around June something, but it's starting on the 18th. So if you guys are Reborn fans, do tell me, what are you guys planning to do? Are you guys going to post up some art? I would love to see if you guys are going to post up some art or fan fiction, or you guys, did I just hear a kitty? Okay, that was just me. Are you guys going to make any videos or anything on the 24th? That is a Friday. I will love to see that and support it in any way that I can, and just, overall have an amazing day on the 20th anniversary. I'm not hoping for anything in regards to the anime. Listen, I've been waiting for many years, since 2011, for almost 12 years. Or is that 13 years? That's almost 13 years. Why did I say 11? Almost 13 years. Okay. No. Yeah, 2011 is when I started with the entire series. But obviously I do have a video in remarks to whether I personally believe whether Reborn should have a continuation or a complete remake or remade continuation. I put it up here for you guys, so you could go also watch that video. That was like 2 years ago I made that video. I should probably do more stuff like that, right? But nonetheless, we are very close approaching. May is a very special month for all Reborn fans, and this month in particular, on the 24th, is celebrating the 20th anniversary of the manga. So am I going to do anything special that day? I'm not too sure, but I will try to get back to more regular review chapter reviews for the series, for all of you, for both old and new fans alike. So with that being said, I don't do that very often for any series, okay? I probably should. It feels good. It feels really good. But nonetheless, I'm finally back, and we are at chapter 132, and I need to be convinced to buy volume 8 of the Bunko volumes. I have to find somewhere, either Kinokuniya or another website. I could probably do that website that I gave to Red. If you guys don't know, fantastic, like Red Decimo, fantastic guy. He's all about Reborn and all that. We did a collaboration video a few months back. But nonetheless, like I said, we are at chapter 132, and this is were one of the most iconic move sets Suna has done. Obviously, we know it's the 0 point breakthrough, but within this chapter, we see it fully executed. So if you are new and you've been hearing about one of these abilities that Suna has, it is fully shown in this chapter. So it continues on where Suna and Zanzis clash by the end again, but they were doing like an output of their energy, so both their flames and everything. And then it continues into this chapter where it was just, shown with a little bit more darker contrast of whites and blacks. And of course, because it's a white and black manga, it's not very often we get colored and everything. So then a big explosion happened, an explosion of all white light. And then there's a bunch of mist and clouds and smoke and everything. By the time everything clears up, we're starting to see Zanza still standing. And then it pans into where everybody, those who are the standees, because chapter or two ago, we had where Ryohei managed, well, actually, I think it was in this chapter, if not. He went to, we had before where Yamamoto and Gokodera ran to the gymnasium to go and rescue Chrome from Belgafor and Mamon, but they got trapped up in the illusion and everything and almost end up losing all the rings. Well, they practically actually did. The rings that they had on hand trying to rescue Chrome, who still had the poison in her body. She was the only one that still had poison in her body at that time, and she was very close to dying. So anyway, going back to this, once the smoke cleared and everybody saw the spectators, Reborn, Dino, Basil, Dr. Shamal, Colonello, everybody that was there, even Squallow, everybody saw and were shocked to see that Zanza's hand was frozen. And they're like, how? Obviously, Squallow knew about this, right? Because of the whole ordeal stuff that happened 9 years prior to the current storyline with him and the ninth, right? So, funny enough, if I came back in time while Reborn was still showing on Pluto, I could have made the correlation and the differences between the anime version. I think it was like episode, like in the 50s or 70s, comparison to this, but it's whatever. But, Zanza's hand was frozen. Squallow couldn't believe that it was happening all over again. Flashback to the past 9 years prior. And then Suna being shocked. Mind you, remember, he was put into the zero state, the negative state, and then that's where he learned how to fully utilize the 0 point breakthrough technique. Of course, he did revise it, okay, to fit more in tune with him versus it being originally used by the first Vongola boss and then eventually used by the knights. So that tells you that at least all the bosses know how to use the 0 point breakthrough, but Suna is the only one who changed up the technique to fit his own standards and or needs, hence why he added the revised by the end of the whole title of it. So Reborn being proud of his student is just like telling everybody that this is the technique that the first boss has created. And the whole point of the 0 point breakthrough technique is that it gathers flames. So it uses the flames of those who they are facing against and use that same flames to freeze it. So flames turned inverse, and then those same flames freezes the opposite flames, if you can catch my drift, right? So hence why when Suna was able to absorb Zanza's flames and everything, he used that in reverse to seal his own, to seal Zanza's flame. Because remember, at the end of the day, Zanza's flame is Wrath flame versus Suna's I forgot his real quick. Okay, I forgot his. But it's a complete opposite. So that being said, Zanzis is being triggered right now because he's reliving what happened to him 9 years prior. So he's like, this is impossible. How dare you? I can't believe it. Like, this is severe trauma because obviously the ninth, his father did that to him. during the coup d'etat, and Squalo knows of that incident as well. Now we getting back into the gymnasium dealing with Mamon and Belgafor, and the situation seems completely helpless because now Gokudera and Yamamoto are getting tangled up into the illusions, and they're very close to losing Chrome, and they lost the rings because one of Mamon's tentacles wrapped tightly around Gokudera's hand and forced him to drop the remaining rings that he had in the palm of his hand. So just before the situation can get extremely bad for all three of them in that room, we have where you saw like a mini flashback and everything, and Colonello is saying that in certain situations where reach hopelessness, this is where the sun comes to shine. And then all you see is where Ryohei screams maximum cannon. He used his injured arm from his fight with Lusaria and punches, and the poor gymnasium crumbles all around them. The amount of force behind maximum cannon. And this is why I still boggle my mind why people swear Ryohei is weak. Ryohei is probably one of the more physically stronger characters within the group, the 10th generation. Right behind, I would say, Hibari. You know, if Hibari is deemed the strongest, and if you know the entire story, you know that it's actually Suna. But given the nature of how these characters are, you know, Hibari is more going on the defensive. But like, I'm talking about more so the physical aspect of it. Knowing Hibari will viciously beat you down, I would say in terms of physical strength within Suna's group, his guardians, first comes Hibari, then Ryohei, and we don't put much respect on Ryohei. Like, this guy is a straight up boxer. The ones that throw hands the most in Suna's group is both Hibari and Ryohei, other than Suna. You know, those two are the physical fighters of the entire group. They're the hand-to-hand combatants of the 10th generation, and not enough people put respect on Ryohei just because probably he screams extreme a lot. But like, this dude is giving straight hands, and nobody really hypes him up. Like, the older I'm getting, I have to put more respect on Ryohei's name, you know, because this guy deserves it. So he completely obliterates the gymnasium. It all comes crumbling around them. They could not understand that the amount of force he put behind it. Mind you, all the rest of these people are inside the gymnasium. I'm surprised none of them got hit by the debris from that punch. And so they did manage to save Chrome and protect her, but Bell and Mamon escaped, right? And they took the rings with them. But Ryohei clutching the same hand that is injured, that was in a sling before. You know, he hates being slow and everything. So just so you know, Belgafor and Mamon did escape from there. So they have to go and try and find them. Now we get back to the scene with Suna and Zanzis. Again, Zanzis' hand is frozen because he got hit with the 0 Point Breakthrough revised version. And then he's trying to understand how Suna, because the way Suna does the technique, going according to the revised version, Zanzis remembers the technique being performed in a certain way, which he would probably think is the standard way of performing that technique. And the way Suna did it is obviously very different. So he didn't think that Suna could pull it off because, one, probably the way Suna was doing it, he didn't think he could have generated that type of power. And obviously, probably his experiences with the 9th was vastly different, that the 9th, whatever he did, and obviously since it is a technique that was passed down generations, obviously he's thinking it's only this particular way. So the way that Suna was doing it could not have ended, he probably thought, Zanzis probably thought the way Suna was doing it could not end up with the same results, but obviously this fight has shown Suna was able to do it because, again, Suna got his confirmation and understanding of the technique when he was in the negative state of dying will. dying will mode, right? And then he went into the neutral or zero state before going back into the positive, aka the hyper dying will mode. So and note also that the 0 point breakthrough technique is the ultimate technique of the first. So this is like your wild card technique. This is the end all be all technique, if you will, of the first, and Suna learned that technique. Mind you, then again, I think he was training, if I remember correctly, he was training with Reborn, but he couldn't come up with the answer on how to fully complete the technique at the time of his training. But it happened during his fight with Zanzis in real time at the time of the series when it was serializing. So with that being said, the Suna's telling Zanzis that the proof that your flames were consumed by the 0 point breakthrough means that it worked. And now it's going to be irreversible. No matter what you do, your flames have been engulfed by this freezing technique, if you will. So now he can't use his flames because they have been sealed off. That's the whole point of the 0 point, is to seal off your flames. So you can't ignite them, you can't utilize them unless the user who did it to you is the one that can melt the ice. So Zanzis, not believing this, thinking it's just a hoax and everything, or he's trying to delude himself that it's a hoax, he starts bashing the hands that are covered with the ice, with the technique, onto his kneecaps, thinking he can break it. The way the ninth had traumatized this man all those years ago. And we all know, because the same technique did what it did to him 9 years prior to the storyline, Zanzis should not try to hurt himself any more than it is, because he knows how hard it would be to get out of this technique. But again, he's still somewhat looking down on Suna, thinking that he didn't do the technique right. This is faulty, so if I damage or crack the ice enough, the freezing enough, I'll show you how faulty you are. And he's screaming, yo, take off all this fake rubbish and everything. Suna keeps telling him calmly, like, nothing you can do can really erase this. Nothing you do can stop this technique. And the scars that you have on your body is the result because of it. So the scars all over Zanz's body is from basically ice burns, the freezing burns that he got from the 0 point breakthrough. Okay, so Suna again added another layer of trauma. A 14-year-old boy added another level of trauma. And then y'all saying my boy Suna ain't savage. So again, Zanzis is just, he's just not happy. He's screaming at Suna. He's telling him that, like, he needs to shut up. He's the one who, his name has a double X, so I am more fit to be the 10th. This is at the point where Zanz's mental fortitude is slowly starting to break, because again, he's reliving these moments, you know, and to see himself being defeated by the same technique that the 9th, his father, rendered him as. To know he's defeated by a kid who doesn't have as much battle experience that he does. That Zanzis had to use underhanded methods to reach this point as far as he is currently. And to know that he ultimately, knowing he got trapped and defeated by the ultimate technique of the Vongola. His pride is also hurt. His ego is shot. His pride is shot. And he's lashing out. He's screaming. He's cursing out Suna and everything. And he's saying, you know what? My name means I'm the 10. I'm the most fit to be the 10 Bongo. Like, he's reducing himself to that point. Because it's not fully connecting in his brain that this is really happening to him all over again. He could not believe it for 1 second. So then he starts charging in. He's screaming, I'm the effing 10th boss of the Mongola. Suna's just like, he's really giving him this look like, gut checks him. And Zanzis is spitting out blood and everything. Suna then goes into, I would say he turns off hyper dying will mode. And then he reaches, and this is one of the more iconic moments. You're going to see many more within Reborn. And then he goes close to his face. His hands is like this towards Zanzis. And then he says, 0-point breakthrough. First edition. Then instantly starts freezing him till Zanzis is fully covered in frozen flame ice. Right? There is a mini flashback where actually before that happened, Zanzis is telling him, you should shut up. And he's saying, don't repeat the same trivial as the night. And Suna's trying to understand that. And then he gets an instant flashback where the night after the whole Golomoska, and he found out the knight was powering the Golomoska with his own flames, which is basically in this universe life force. Dying will flames are also your life force. So by absorbing and using them in an abusive manner can ultimately the person, right? Yeah. And that was being used to power the Golomoska. So when he taps Suna's head and triggers some memories and everything, this is what Suna's just like, oh. So to my understanding, based on that little memory, is that not only did Suna found the answer for the same technique, but he also got part of that answer or memories from the night when he passed it on to Suna at that moment. And even though Suna got that memory and all of that stuff, those answers, he still went through with the technique. And so now he's looking at Zanzis more so in a, I wouldn't even say in a sympathetic way. He went back into hyper dying will mode and he finished off the technique, completely encasing Zanzis' entire body in frozen flames. And that's where the chapter, like, he looking mad in that ice, like he's in mid-scream. He got frozen mid-scream. And it ends off like that. So I know some people may look at this moment as just like Suna shouldn't feel sympathy, but that's just Suna. Even for his greatest foes, we clearly saw it when it was with Mukuro, that despite it all, despite how these are the same individuals that want to take out Suna or use Suna to their advantage, Suna still sympathized on a very human level with these people. Once he comes to understand this individual and why they are doing the things that they do, doesn't make it what they did right, but at the end of the day, Suna tries to understand that individual. So again, if you were kind of confused at that moment, Suna in the panel before the frozen part of Zanzis, that memory that the Knight tapped on Suna's head was from him gaining access and memories of the past, his relationship with the Ninth, and also more likely it is also the answers, and then Suna gained more knowledge of it when he went into the negative and neutral state of hyper dying will mode. And this is where Zanzis is saying you shouldn't take up the same actions as the Knight. So in that regard, the Knight froze Zanzis on that night of the coup d'etat and left him in that state for quite a while. And he's telling Suna that don't make the same mistake or don't do the same thing like the Knight did. But Suna had no choice. This was the only way to truly stop Zanzis without exerting even more energy as is, and protecting everyone around him, including his opponents, his enemies, right? So that's how the chapter ended. So Zanzis is frozen once more. And the only way he can be unfrozen is by Suna. The one who casts it shall be the one who take it away. So, guys, do tell me in the comment section below on how you felt about Katekyo Hitman REBORN chapter 132. If you saw the anime version of this chapter, do tell me the comparison between the episode versus this. What were some things you noticed that are similar? Some things that were different, things that were taken out, things that were added in, so on and so forth. Did you guys expect Suna to fully go through with using this technique, or do you thought it was some type of fluke? I would love to hear your regards in that sort. And how do you feel about that last panel of Suna giving Zanzis this look of sympathy? Do you feel that it was in character for him, or it could have been something more given up how Zanzis has treated him and his friends so far? I would love to read your comments down below. I'm Kimi-chan, and I will see you guys later. Bye!